Do you feel lost when historical fabric shopping? Maybe you're unsure of where to even start. Well, let's find out.
Hello everyone and welcome back to the show. As you may have guessed from the title, this episode's all about where to buy your historically appropriate fabrics online. And before we jump into it, I'd just like to say and remind you guys, as always, please don't forget to subscribe and click that notification bell so that you can see more episodes like this in the future. So without further ado, let's just jump right into it, I guess, and start on this wonderful journey of discovering websites that sell fabric that is historically appropriate. It's a word. Alright everyone, so first on the list is the website Burnley and Townbridge. Now this website carries a very good selection of the top 3 historical fabrics you're going to want to lean towards, which is silks, linens, and wools. I do think that their wool selection is far superior compared to their linens and silks, but they're a great overall site and they do have a good selection. Prices are fairly standard for most websites on their fabrics. That's really all I have to say about that website, but it is definitely worth a look. So the next one on the list is one that is very obscure. It's called Hancock's of Paducah. Not to be confused with Hancock's Fabric, which is no longer in business. So this one is very interesting. They do a lot of quilting fabrics, but they actually do have a specific section just designated to reproduction fabrics. And what I mean by this is they are fabrics that have been made and modeled after a dress, like the fabrics that dresses have on them that are still around today. And most of them are floral prints, and most of them, I believe, are reproductions more from the Civil War era, the Civil War era, so like the 1860s. But I mean, I'm super excited because I actually just recently purchased a great like chintz type fabric, which is very suitable for my Italian gown, which, as we know, is not from the 1800s but from the late 1700s. So they certainly have a decent selection that I think could fall into the categories of not just 19th century sewing but 18th century as well. Also, if you're into historical quilting, I guess they do reproduction of quilt patches seen in historical quilts. I don't know much about that because I'm not a quilter. I'm terrible at quilting, but there is that. So third on the list is Renaissance Fabrics, and I think these guys have amazingly beautiful silks for sale, just absolutely gorgeous. They do also carry linens and wools. But I think like their biggest 2 fabrics they really carry is definitely silk and linen. They do also carry some pre-cut boning pieces if you don't want to cut your own boning. And they also, they have a sample program where you can ask for 5 free samples and they ship it to you. The only thing is, I did that because I was trying to figure out which orange silk I would want the most, and it's a pretty big purchase. Silk is never cheap, so I wanted to really make sure, and they've never sent me my sampler pack. And this is the only thing about this website I think is negative, is they seem to have very poor customer service. They don't have a phone number, even though they have a real location, so you can't call them. And every time I've sent them an email, they never message me back. And I do worry about that because it makes me a bit doubtful about doing business with them. which is a shame because I love their silk collection. So I don't know how to feel about this website, but maybe, I have known other people online who have purchased from them and everything's turned out okay. So maybe they're just kind of in a funk right now with all of this COVID stuff going on. I'm not sure. All right, next up is a website called fabricationsonline.com. I know it's a little bit of a mouthful. So here is a website that I really would only go for to look at their wools because I find that they have a very limited selection. But what they are superior at is their wool selection is actually fairly reasonably priced. And I have not worked with this company. I haven't tried to contact them or anything just because I haven't gotten around to it. So I won't lie, I have not done business with them. But I did want to throw them out there as a potential option for you to look at their fabrics and such. Because just because I haven't done business with them doesn't mean they're not reputable. I've heard very good things about them. So now we're going on to our next website. So the next website is another one I have not done business with, which is called puresilks.us. Yeah, it has a weird URL, but again, I have heard other people use them, and what I have seen on their website is they have a very nice assortment of patterned silks, such as stripes, and it's definitely like only silk. Like, I don't think they actually sell any other type of fabric. So if you're looking for silks, this would definitely be one of those websites to check out. Again, I have not worked with them, so I can't say a whole ton on what their customer service is like or what their quality of fabric is like. And now we're on to the next website, which I think you've definitely probably heard of, which is called Silk Baron. Yep, Silk Baron. And again, I haven't worked with this website, but I cannot stop hearing good things about them. And they're just constantly coming out with a variety of silk colors. So it definitely would be worth your while to maybe go do business with them if you're making a silk gown. Like I said, the reviews are through the roof with this company. As per their name, they are very specifically a silk vendor. So if you're looking for wool and linen, not exactly the best website to go for, but if you're looking for silk, the perfect option. And another website I'm definitely sure you've heard of, Fabric.com. Just bear with me. I have found plenty of historically appropriate fabrics on this site. True, you're gonna have a hard time finding real linen, real silk, and real wool. That isn't ridiculously expensive. But if you're going for the 100% cotton, this is definitely the website to check out. And I have found lawn and batiste on there as well, so you can find also some specialty cottons. And what I think I do like about Fabric.com is if you're looking for 100% cotton, they have a really great selection. And my only concern is I have not had it happen to me, but I have seen people who have reviewed some of their fabrics and said they did the the flame test where you burn it, singe it, that's the singeing test. And some of their fabrics they claim were real fiber were not. I have not had this happen to me with them. I'm not saying anyone is or isn't telling the truth. It's not something I've experienced. I've had nothing but pretty much good results with them. And like I said, I like it because it's great if you're looking for that 100% cotton floral. And sometimes, and I do actually recommend that if you're making your very first historical dress, don't use silk, don't use linen, don't use wool, use cotton because it's gonna be cheaper. So if you make a mistake, it's not gonna be like, ah! It's gonna be much more, well, much less painful, let's just put it that way. And like I said, I've gotten plenty of historically appropriate fabrics from Fabric.com, and they're also my big go-to for my cosplay commission business. I'm talking way too much about this company, but that's probably because I've done the most business with them. But don't worry, we have one more company to go to. And finally, Fabricmart Fabrics.com. If you just Google search Fabricmart, you'll find it. I rank this also as a very good company. If you sign up for their newsletters, they're constantly sending you emails like, psst, we got 60% off this selection. Psst, we got 50% off this weekend. So it's great because they do run a ton of sales, like pretty much all the time. The only downside to this website is I'm not 100% sure how it works. Someone tried to explain to me once, so I'm gonna just try and explain it the way they did to me, is that apparently like they get fabrics that weren't selling or like a company didn't want to carry anymore, and then they get it and sell it for cheaper. So maybe it doesn't always have the greatest selection in some of the categories because they may not be in stock with anything that falls in that category. But it's definitely worth checking out every so often because sometimes you get great deals. I recently got a wool from them and it was quite reasonably priced. On top of everything else, what wonderful customer service. I had ordered 6 yards of the wool and then they messaged me and they said, hey, we actually have another yard that's like cut separately. Do you want it? And I'm like, yeah, I want it. Who doesn't want free fabric? So of course this was a special thing because I thought I had bought the last 6 yards and I guess they did too, but it turned out they had like this one random yard. So they were like, well, we're never gonna sell just a yard, so let's just give it to her. So yes, overall, I think this is a very good selection and variety of websites to spend a whole weekend just browsing if you so choose. If you're like me, historical sewing or just sewing in general is like your main hobby, and then your second hobby is online window shopping for fabric that you then buy for projects you probably won't get to for years. I have way too much fabric. I might need an intervention. So yes, I hope that you enjoyed this video. I hope you found it helpful. I hope that it kind of eases the burden of trying to purchase historical fabrics for you. And most of all, I just hope that you had fun hanging out with me today. And as I know I've said before, don't forget to subscribe so we can hang out more in the future, or just so you can pop in and see what crazy projects I'm going to be doing next. Alrighty everyone, that's the end of the show. So till next time.